We started as a much more alternative band. If you Google the song Sleep, which was we were putting on our first album, that was technically our first single on Columbia, and it's like a 5.5 minute long, like Jeff Buckley kind of like, I love it, but it's just out there. And that's how we were originally gonna break. And that's a lot of our original material leaned way more alternative rock, and frankly that's what I listened to, and that's what we listened to. I happen to naturally, though, kind of come up with these catchy melodies, like pop melodies, and I'm a sucker for a great pop melody and something that a lot of people can sink their teeth into. And so when Apologize came out, the way that it came out as a remix on the back of a hip-hop producer's album, there was no going back for us. Like, we are now a pop band, rock, if you must throw in the added superlative. But the thing is, for us, that was the moment where I realized, I said that quote right when Apologize blew up. I was like, well, so much for being an alternative rock band. We're a pop band, and there's no turning around. No matter how cool we try to get or try to be something we're not, which we've tried and lost, and you just kind of have to embrace what you're good at and be better at it than anybody else if you can. For me, the beginning of a tour is always the hardest. Or if you've been off for a while and then if you've had a good long rest and you know you're about to go back out for a stretch, I get a lot of anxiety the days leading up to it because I know I'm gonna be away from my family, and that's always really difficult. But having said that, I'm definitely way more accustomed to it than I used to be, and I think that speaks for most of us. It's kind of almost like, I don't want to say autopilot, but it's like we're so used to the weird routine that touring is. 4 a.m. lobby calls in hotels, flights to cities. 1 minute you're in a bus going from Seattle to Sacramento, the next you're in a plane going from Siberia to Vienna, and we've kind of done everything and all of that, and it just becomes another flight, it becomes another thing, and we try to take in the cities as much as possible wherever we go. That's the one thing we definitely try to do, so we don't take it for granted, because you never know, they may not ask you to come back. So,
but there is like a romanticized that whole like thought of being on tour and how it's super glamorous and everything's great, and like that thought leaves out the fact that all of your clothes are in a suitcase underneath the bus, and when you have to change, even in the morning, you have to walk out of the bus, and there's usually fans watching you dig through, try to find something clean in your suitcase, and that's not very glamorous or rock and roll,
We've surprisingly gotten great feedback on our covers. Number one by far. We did something very much beyond our means at the time, now that I look back, but I'm glad we did it. At the end of our first album cycle, so I don't know, 2.5, 3 years ago, we put together an EP of 4 songs. After Stop and Stare, our second single, came out, they said, you gotta pick a cover. And I picked The Last Goodbye by Jeff Buckley. And it's my top 2 favorite songs of all time. So I knew every lyric, every nuance of how he sings. And a lot of what I do on our records is very much a smaller box of what I can do vocally. So I'm slowly starting to try to step outside that box and do some stuff. But anyway, practiced Last Goodbye over and over and over and over and over again, because I kept saying, guys, if we don't nail this, we're gonna get crucified by by Buckley fans, which I knew would happen anyway if we touched Buckley. So there's on iTunes, there was people who loved it, people who were like, this is the best cover I've ever heard of this song, and there, of course, his hardcore fans were like, jump off a cliff, kill yourself, and then I'll kill you after that. Jeff Buckley's mother got a hold of our management company, and she said, I want you to tell the boys in OneRepublic that of all the people that have covered my son, that was hands down the best cover of Last Goodbye I've ever heard, and I think he would have approved. And that was like, I almost wanted to take her email and post it on our website. Be like, you know what you all can do. And number one, hands down, will be Paul McCartney. And I know half of his live touring band who've been with him for years. I've used them and become friends with one of them, and I'm always, subtly nudging him, say, hey, when's Paul gonna be around? And when I might just show up somewhere where he is. The first thing I'd love to do is write with Paul, even if it was the most crap song ever. just to experience that, in a way, it'd be like having one of the Wright brothers take you up for a loop. You know what I mean? That's, in my mind, kind of what it would be